the root ball looks like here. This plant, I don't know the name of it. So it has this root ball here. I got it from my parents' house, and it's this long plant, and the top of it looks like this. And I don't know too much about houseplants, but it looks kind of like a monstera slash kind of like an anthurium or something like that. But this is a variety of plant that Asians grow, and it kind of spreads a little bit, and its stalk, its stem is very weak, very soft. As you can see, this has a bend in it here, and it we grow it, and it's like got a light airiness in it, but it's crunchy. We cook it in soups, and in this like soup that has a tamarind base, and it's really delicious. When we don't have this and we make that soup, then we'll put celery instead, but celery has a lot more fibers, and it still retains its crunch despite being despite being cooked. So I'm gonna plant these today, and I'll show you where I place them. So here I have transplanted that plant, and like I said, it looks like anthurium. There's houseplants or something, but when I looked at the root, it didn't look like it had a bulb like the way that colocasia or other things have. It doesn't look like taro, but the leaves are kind of like the taro leaves. So I have no idea what this plant is called in English. I might try to look it up, but without having any basis of knowing what it is, I can't say for sure. But the other thing is that do not eat houseplants. Most are very, very poisonous and toxic to animals, to dogs and humans. So just make sure that you don't eat, those houseplants like peace lilies and all that stuff. So now I'm going to show you what else I did in the garden. So here are some collard greens that I planted, and they had grown really tall and started to go to seed, and I just chopped off the seedy parts, the dry parts, and got the seeds out of the pods. And before I could get to it, some of the pods had opened up and dropped the seeds, and I have tons of little baby collard greens here. Here are some other ones, and a ton right there, a ton of them. So this area, I was going to dig it up and pull out everything and move the chicken run over here, and basically start prepping the area where they currently are and try to make that part into a garden bed. But since all this stuff is growing, I think I might just leave it, because I really love collard greens and brassicas. And today I had pulled out all the bedding, the dirty bedding that had been in the chicken coop, and I just swept it all out, and then I put a new layer of cardboard down here. I'm not sure if you could see, but I have a layer of cardboard right there. Then I put all this shredded newspaper and hay with it's called Sweet PDZ, and it makes it smell really good. I just shred school papers that the kids bring home that they're not using, and add papers that are recycled paper already, and they'll just break down really, really quickly. And that coupled with the manure will give a lot of will make good ground cover and good soil. And if you look below here, a lot of it fell, and in fact there was some Bermuda grass or crabgrass or whatever you call it growing right there. So I'm kind of just covering it and letting it kind of like die off. Eventually I will till it over and it'll have the nice soil beneath it, but right now I'm covering the weedy Bermuda grass area. So now it's time to close up the coop, and so that's kind of my morning chore. I go around feeding all the animals, giving them water, the rabbits and the chickens, and I gather any eggs or any other produce that needs to be picked around, and then I look for seeds that are dried out that I can harvest. And so right now there are a lot of seeds that I can harvest from the fennel, and I'm going to be doing that in the next few days. And so while the seeds are dry, I'll collect them and then store them so they can continue to dry out in a box, and then after that I'll start to pull them off of their stems and place them in the envelopes for various people and myself. And then after that I'll go around and water the plants that need to be watered, and I'll try to skip a day or two when possible. Like today it's going to be 77 or so, not too hot. It's great because then I could skip a day of watering and not have to worry about it too much. I did give water to that plant that I transplanted, and I wanted to show you a few other things. Let me go over to them. The sunflower had been eaten. All the stalks had been eaten by all the flower heads had been eaten by their squirrels and whatever critters, birds. And I was going to take down this tall stalk, which is like 10 or 11 feet tall. I was going to take it down, but I like that it offers a vertical growth and some shade. I mean, hardly any shade, but look at these big leaves. They do offer lots of shade, and the birds and insects like to land on it and climb on it. So I just left it. I like things to look a little rugged and wild. So lo and behold, let this be a teaching lesson. So I found out that while I left it alone, it started to grow secondary blooms. So here are the blooms, 1, 2, 3. Let's see, a couple more blooms, blooms. All this, there was not one seed headed. They had all been eaten, and now they've come back and been given a second chance. They don't look great, but they offer food to the birds. And so this is the rugged looking section of my garden where I haul the chicken run back and forth and all over the place, and I'm just doing various experiments around. So I just kind of grow random things over in this section just for fun, my experimenting section. And another thing that I learned, and I kind of had the notion of it from last year, was that when the hollyhocks grew, they started to turn brown at the tips, at the top, and like so. And I have already gathered the seed heads. So I didn't pull out the stalks because at the later part of summer, I noticed that the hollyhocks started to bloom again from the stems. So if you see, little leaves are starting to grow down there, and it starts to grow a second wave of flowers. So like if you look here, it just grew more stalks and a new hollyhock, and complete with flowers and everything, and it's green. So that is wonderful. It keeps giving. This plant keeps giving and giving. And although the detritus doesn't look too good, it didn't look this way when in spring. All these leaves came from the hollyhock and various things, various plants. It's great ground cover, and eventually when the season for hollyhocks is over, and I'll pull out the stalks, and I will rake all these leaves up and spread it out again and till it over, and it's gonna look really nice. So I'm not really worried. It's the lazy way of gardening. You don't have to do that much work, and it'll keep producing and producing for you. So hope you learned a few things from this video. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.